So thank you all for joining. A little bit about today's session in Clubhouse. So my name is Priya, I'm from New York, and there is an app called Clubhouse, and there is a club on Clubhouse called Sindhis Unite, and it was started by Bharti Daswani. She's in the audience today, as well as Anjali Odwani. And the goal of Sindhis Unite is to help carry the Sindhi culture forward through language, history, music, writing, and so much more. Every Saturday at 12 New York time, we have a session and we discuss various topics. We discuss learning to speak the language. We call it Sindhi 101. And we have guest speakers. We've had chefs on, we've had authors on. And today, I see Kamal Uncle, Kamal Chandani is on today. He did a special talk for us about the Sindhi history of the Sindhu River civilization with a focus on Mohenjo-daro. And also we've had someone else from our admin team speak what it was like for him to grow up in Sindh, his father. And all of that is on our YouTube channel at Sindhis Unite. And we're also on Instagram at Sindhis Unite. So feel free to check us out at any time. This is also where the recording of today's session will be, and you can share it with friends and family. So today we are going to talk about the poet Shah Abdul Latif. And first I wanted to turn it over to Gayatri to tell us a little bit about how she got this session idea and a little more about our guest author, Anju Makhija. Gayatri?
Hi, Jai Jhulelal to everyone. So the thing is that I also joined Clubhouse as the Sindhis Unite started, like from the beginning, and had been hearing a lot about whatever we were discussing, like so many things were turning up from, I was not very good with anything Sindhi before, but then got to know about Shah Latif, and then I wanted to dig deep in, and I was just searching for some things on the internet, and then I found out this book, Seeking the Beloved, and then I digged upon who's the author, and she's from Bombay, very big surprise for me. And then I was always started following her on the Instagram. We got connected for longest time. We didn't really have like formal conversation. And then one time I wanted to like approach her and like ask her to like if I can get her book from her and can have a conversation with her. And surprisingly, not very far from me, very close to my house, very close, right behind my college. And I was like, why didn't I meet her before? And then such a sweetheart, she agreed to do a session with us within a go. And she was so impressed by whatever we are doing, coming up on this international platform, discussing everything Sindhi. And just, you know, she was like, okay, so with the youth, the culture is also reviving, because then we had a long conversation about that. And I let Anju take over to discuss everything further. Thanks, Priya, for letting me do this.
Thank you, Gayatri, and thank you for taking this initiative. We really, really appreciate you sharing this with us. So I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker today. Her name is Anju Makhija. She's a Sahitya Akademi award-winning poet, playwright, and translator. She has written and co-edited 13 books related to women, partition, poetry, and theater. Her latest book, Mumbai Traps, is a collection of plays. Anju has been on the English Advisory Board of the Sahitya Akademi in Delhi for 5 years. Currently, she is co-translating the poetry of the Sufi Sindhi poet, Sachal Sarmad. So Anju, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about, first, for those who may not know, a little bit about Shah Abdul Latif. He's often referred to as the Sindhi Shakespeare of today, back then. And maybe you could just share a little bit about who Shah Abdul Latif was, and also about the book that you wrote and how you got started in this project.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Priya, and thank you, Gayatri. I was indeed surprised to find that there was an active group called Sindhis Unite, because I always thought the oldies were only interested in the Sindhi culture. Frankly, in Bombay, we don't have many youngsters interested. So I think you all are doing something very, very unusual. And I don't know how and why you all got interested, but maybe as I get to know Gayatri, she'll tell me more about it.
I think part of the reason is because we realize it's important to share our culture, speak about the language, learn as much as we can, because if we don't, it will die out, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Bharti that started Sindhis Unite on Clubhouse, that's what started all this. So it's really, and Kamal Uncle, who is on the Zoom today as well, he teaches Sindhi classes on Zoom. He's been teaching in person for over 12 years, and now he teaches on Zoom, so a lot of us can learn. So we're all working together to put together the pieces of our Sindhi heritage and help carry it forward for generations to come. So you speaking with us today is telling us more about our great, rich Sindhi history.
Yeah, and I think first of all, it's very exciting for me to see a young group or a youngish group from all over the world. Secondly, my interest in Sindhi literature too started at about your age. Because like I was telling Priya earlier, I also was educated in the US and Canada. And suddenly I asked myself, who am I? Where have I come from? And that's the age you all are at. And, we didn't have so much of Zoom and all that. So we had to just learn from books. And it was not easy to access texts in Sindhi, though we have the Institute of Sindhology here in Adipur. I don't know if you all know about it, but it was started after partition, and they have a beautiful library. So anybody coming to India can go to or even correspond with them. You can Google them, Institute of Sindhology. Now, to add to that, I find there's a lots happening to preserve the culture. And lots of people are doing it now. And it's almost like it was a wave, now it's become like a tidal wave. And everywhere I look, everybody is trying to preserve the Sindhi culture. The old, the young, everybody. And there are so many groups here, and I'll tell Gayatri about them too. I think I mentioned a few to her. I've invited some, and they were also anxious to meet you. Hopefully some of them may come. But there's such an interest now that it's just amazing. And of course, we're very happy, because when I started this book, and I'll tell you about Shah Latif in a second, how this book started, because I translated it with Hari Dilgir, who I think some of you all may know, Kamal may know. Hari Dilgir, I'd gone to a seminar, and Hari Dilgir was 80 years old. And he told me, I think we should translate Shah Abdul Latif now. Earlier we had translated partition poetry and anthology. I told Gayatri about it, and maybe we'll have a session, because that's an important book now. It's become like a collector's edition. And it has partition poetry from India and Pakistan, both. And all the poets are gone now. They're old and they passed away. But we've got this wonderful collection of their poems. So we also had Hari Dilgir in that book. So when I met him, he was already 80 years. I cannot read Sindhi at all. And when you say Shakespeare of Sindh, the language was very, very difficult. There's a book called Shah Abdul Latif. Shah Abdul Latif has all the poems of Shah Latif. It was compiled. And initially, it was compiled in Pakistan, and then in Germany, and now it is available in the British Museum. He's an international poet. We don't respect him as much as he's respected internationally. I mean, he's as well known as Rumi and others, but we are still getting to know him. So I'm very happy for the session, because we have people from all over, and it's important to recognize him as a great, great poet. So I'll continue the story. So in this story, Hari Dilgir at 80 tells me we should translate. So I said, no, how is it possible? I mean, my Sindhi is not so good. He's saying, don't worry, I'm there to help you. I'm there. And when he says I'm there, Sindhi is is a combination of Sanskrit. It has its origin in Sanskrit, Persian, and Arabic. All these languages go to form Old Sindhi, like Old Shakespeare language. It's a very rich language. That is, as you know, we go back to 5,000 years of history. So the language too goes back to taking from all the cultures that came there. So we have Persian influences, we have Arabic, and also in the history of Sindh, we've had influences of the Mughals and so many people who came there. So all that reflects in the language. It's very complex. So I said, how the hell am I going to do this? You know, I won't be able to do it. So with Dilgir's help, he was in Kutch and I was in Bombay. So we started translating, and we didn't have email then. So we had just postcards. So Dilgir would send me a postcard with 2 translations, and I would convert it into English, translate it to English, and make the poetry accessible for an English audience. So it went on for 5 years, and not a single postcard got lost. So I started believing there was something sacred about this, you know. I'm not very superstitious, but this made me think. And as we kept on writing, 5 years ended. Dilgir became 85. And this book was complete. Can I hold it up? Can you all see it? This is called
Yes, we can see it. So this is the book you wrote. It's called Seeking the Beloved, or you translated, right?
Yeah, along with Hari Dilgir. And this went on to win a Sahitya Akademi award. And it's gone into 3rd publication now. So it's getting popular. And you can see even 12 years later, we are still having a session. So yes. I think among all the books I've written, it is probably one of my best known books. I'm happy to have that here.
So I would love to get into a little bit more about Shah Abdul Latif and the book. But can you tell us how you can get the book in case anybody would like to?
In India, it's available on Amazon.
Okay,
so
great.
It's very easy. You can just go to Amazon and Google Seeking the Beloved, Anju Makhija. You'll find it.
Wonderful.
And the book is called Seeking the Beloved, the Poetry of Shah Abdul Latif. And it's published by Katha. But you need not go into all that. And, I can give Gayatri the Amazon link I've already sent her already.
Wonderful. Yes, we'll post it on our.
I can share the details with whoever is interested.
In the bio, yeah. And now, if you're ordering from abroad, it may not be available on Amazon. So you can write to the publisher Katha. But what I suggest you WhatsApp or email me. I can give you my WhatsApp number right now. If Gayatri has it also, she can put it up.
So what
you can place the order.
I'll share it as in with whoever is required.
Yeah, you can place the order with me. Yeah. And the price given on the book, I will give it to you for that price. It's $350. And the postage will change according to the country. You know, so by sea mail or by, I don't know how it's posted nowadays, but I shall try. The cheapest way, obviously.
Yeah. So one quick thing, just to reiterate, I had gotten a message. It's not available in Amazon in the US, only in India for now. But if you're interested, message us on Instagram at Sindhis Unite, and we will get you in touch with Anju, and she can arrange between the price of the book and, you know, shipping varies from location to location, depending on where you are in the world. So she can get back to you with the pricing. And we'll see if Gayatri can put the link to the Amazon link in India in the chat. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And Anju, back to you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot. I'll now get on to straight away to Shah Abdul Latif. Now, Shah Abdul Latif was born 1689, just so that we place it all in context. 1689 to 1752. So quite some time back. He has been aptly called the people's poet. He remains one of the greatest Sufi poets, along with Rumi or Mir Dad and so many others. His verses are recited today as they have been for hundreds of years. And Urz, I think there are some people here from Pakistan. how do you pronounce this? Urs, I think, no? URS. And Urs is held annually in Vicha, in Sindh. Vicha in Sindh, Pakistan, where the poet spent the final years of his life. So these disciples and followers from all over the world come to gather to celebrate and sing his verses. So I think if there are some people from Pakistan, they can comment and let me know if this is an annual event and if it happens regularly. You can tell us later when we have time for question, answers and chat. Now, I continue. Shah Latif authored a major work called Shah Jo Risalo, which according to most sources has 30 surs. Surs are like chapters, he has put them in. It can be described as one long veil or firak. There was a movie called Firak, which means separation from God. His poetry is spiritual. It is Sufi, it is spiritual. There's no doubt about it. But it's easy to access. It's not like difficult just because it's spiritual. And I'll tell you why and how as we go along. Now, as I said earlier, the Germans also discovered him quite early. So the Risala was preserved at the mausoleum of the same poet in 1754. Later, the scholar Ernest Trump published it in Germany in 1866. I'm talking about long ago, he was discovered by the Germans. Subsequently, there was a mausoleum edition which has been in the British Museum since 1844. So if you all go to the British Museum, you can ask about it. I certainly have plans to do that and to see it there. If you come to India, I would suggest the Institute of Sindhology to see it there. Now, Shah Abdul Latif was part of the Bhakti movement. I think most of us are familiar with the Bhakti movement, which had a major impact in Sindh through the spread of Guru Nanak's teaching. Shah Karim, Sachal Sarmas were some of the other well-known poets belonging to this Bhakti tradition. Now, this is important because it was in Shah Latif that Indian Sufism, which drew inspiration from both Vedanta and Islam. This is important because all Sufis took from Vedantic and Islamic traditions. And, you know, and many people say the Sindhis are very tolerant, they are very adaptive, and they used to live together in harmony, the Muslims and Hindus in Sindh. That's because, in a way, they were influenced by the Sufi poetry, which took from both traditions. It wasn't like today. And we have, of course, Sufi poetry being very, very popular these days, because everybody wants to know how the Hindus and the Islamic traditions can survive. And that's what makes Sufi poetry so brilliant, I think. So like Bhakti Yoga, it was based on complete surrender to God with the ultimate goal of union. Now, all spirituality has that ultimate goal. So the major difference in Sufism is that they want a direct relationship with God. They don't want the mullahs in between or the priests or whoever else wants to get in between. So all of this poetry will talk directly to God, directly to the divine within us. And there is no outer idol worship, outer rituals to do, nothing like that, as you will see in the poems. So I shall begin with the readings of the poems, Priya, to give people an idea. I think they know about Shah Latif a bit now.
Yes.
He's an important poet for Sindh. And
Yes.
I don't think one session is enough. You all should definitely be reading his work in some detail. And it's really nice because now I've got about half an hour, right?
Yes.
I'll divide it into two parts and then question and answers, of course. See, what Shah Latif did was he used a lot of Sufi symbols. Now you may ask, what are symbols? Sufi symbols. I'll explain to you when I read rather than just tell you abstractly. So let us get started with the first sur, which is the very first sur called Sur Kalya. And they are all based on, they are sur. Sur means what? Melody, like, you know. They are based on Indian ragas. And these poems are sung I mean, I'm reciting them in English, but in the oral tradition, they are sung. So they're altogether different. And that's why translation becomes so difficult to keep the beauty of the original. So anyway, we had no choice. We had to do it in English. But whenever I have readings, I've invited the Sufi singers. So that, which is what you can do. So you'll get a feel of that sound. Also, if any of you all will go to YouTube, you'll find a lot of Abida Parveen, you all know. She sings Shah Latif. She's a very famous from Pakistan. So she sings a lot of Shah Latif. And I hear her a lot. And so this may sound a little different to people who are used to hearing music. But here we go. So this is what Shah Latif says in one of the verses. There are many verses. Listen, ignorant one. Listen, ignorant one. Neither lover nor beloved. Neither creator nor creation is he. Neither lover nor beloved. Neither creator nor creation is he. This secret disclose to seekers of perfection. The Lord reflects his own image, becomes his own beloved, embraces his own creation. Needs a little bit of it. He is that, this, life, death, friend, enemy, breath of breath is he. One palace, numerous doors, myriad windows. I see you everywhere in many, many ways. How should I describe your countless manifestations, my Lord? Now, I'll get on to some symbols that are used. I'll read this and then explain. Now, in the olden days, we had gallows. You know what gallows are, where people are hung? They're hung, actually hung rather than put in, machines.
Yes, yes.
So he used that also as a symbol to describe. And also, before I read further, the head is considered the ego. So the whole idea in many religions is to, if we sacrifice our egos, then our chances of coming closer to the divine definitely increase. And Shah Latif is no different. He says, will you follow me to the gallows, my friend? The gallows await those who seek the beloved. So if you're willing to cut off your head, if you're willing to get rid of your ego, follow me to the gallows. If your love is true, first cut off your head. This is not violent poetry. Cut off your head means surrender your ego. Okay? Difficult thing to do. If your love is true, first cut off your head. Lover, do not return until you are beheaded. Then talk about God, he said. Don't talk about big things till you first surrender your ego. See them celebrate at the gallows, an inspiring sight. Why hesitate? Why break your age-old vows with love? Come, be butchered. Up on the scaffold. Scaffolds are those things. Lovers do not quiver. Behold, eyes meet. Gallows turn into garlands. There's another symbol here, which I'll read. It's about a dagger. Why blame the dagger when the butcher holds the handle? The beloved's behavior causes even steel to quiver. Lovers are transformed. I pray for the dagger to be blunt. Let it linger a little bit longer in the beloved's hands. O butcher, possessor of daggers, I hunt you out. In love's slaughterhouse, I place my head on the block. Chop me to pieces, my Lord. Remove my ego so I can come closer to you. So it goes on like that. There's a whole also references to the symbol of the wine bar, which was used by Omar Khayyam Many of you all know Umar Khayyam. Anyway, that is the first chapter, and I'll go on to some other poetry. I don't know if some of you all are shocked by these symbols. You can tell me later.
Yes, and thank you for explaining behind it, how you were just explaining about leaving your ego behind. It definitely makes it more relatable. Thank you.
Right. So those are the symbols. That means, poetry is rich in symbols, and that's what makes good poetry, whether you use symbols, you use similes, you use metaphors, lots of things. And this is a very rich poetry. Okay, now I'll tell you a little story about Shah Abdul Latif before I read the next few verses. When Shah Latif went to school, he refused to go beyond the first letter, which is Alif. The teacher said, say more. After Alif comes what? Shah Latif refused to go. He just said Alif, Alif, Alif. Then later on, as an adult, he wrote this verse. Later on. Alif is the beginning, Alif is the end. Alif is the beginning, Alif is the end. Why recite anything else? I cannot proceed beyond the first line. Even this lesson, not yet mastered. You alone are everything. Nothing else matters. I mean, that much of love and dedication. Again, the Sufis were pretty hard-hitting. They said what was on their mind without... I think if I said all these things, today, I don't know what would happen in this government. They would probably, say it's blasphemy or what. And even in the time of the Sufis, there were some earlier Sufi saints who suffered a lot because they spoke the truth, whatever came to them. There was this very famous one called Mansoor. And I believe he was put to death when he spoke about what he felt the truth was. And our times also are what they are. So the next verse says, more they read, they didn't spare anybody, whether Hindus, Muslims, or whoever. More they read, less they know. More pages turned, more sins committed. A glimpse of the beloved is better than fasts and prayers. Katib is a writer. Why write so many pages? The source of all knowledge is just one letter. Why these places of worship? Why so much fasting? Know the alak within. Alak is sort of energy or God that cannot be perceived by the senses. Why these places of fasting? Why these places of worship? Know the alak within. He is everywhere. So I'll quickly go on to another chapter and then go on to the part 2 of the folk tales. Now you must understand that the Sufis believed in direct relationship with the God, our lords. Even our Jhulelal and all were not Sufis in that sense. We were traditional with Guru Nanak and all that. But if you talk of Shah Latif, you're talking about the Sufism. And they believed in direct relationship. Nothing in between, whether you have your mullahs or you have your Brahmins, nothing. They didn't want anything. They thought you could be directly in touch with God, which is what Shah Latif, Sachal Sarmas, and all the Sufi poets in the world are about. So see, they can be pretty hard-hitting, they can be soft, they can be anything. Here he says, reciting the holy verses bears no mark of real faith, where deceit and ego lurk. Outwardly a believer, inwardly a fake. You cease to be a true kafir. Refrain from calling yourself one. Unfit for Janyo or Tilak, you are not even a true Hindu. A face like Moses, in truth the devil. Wretched one, why not drop the mask? Hidden from me are the innermost secrets of the world. Countless oceans boil within. Smokeless, I burn, I burn. Then this is a long verse. He ends it with saying, those who make their body a rosary, mind a bead, heart a musical instrument, hear songs of love. God is one, God is infinite. Even in sleep, they remain awake. Okay. You want to take questions before I get to part 2? Or in the end?
Why don't we let's ask. So does anybody in the audience have any questions right now? You can either use the raise a hand feature or type your question in the chat. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, there were some questions in the chat about how can they get in touch with you? Can they follow you on Instagram? We did put your Instagram handle in the chat. And do you have a website? Is there any other way you would prefer them to contact you, or Instagram is fine?
Instagram is fine. They can message me.
Great.
It is a private account.
Yeah.
So you may also want to give them my email.
Okay. We can do that.
Yeah, I'll share it in the chat.
Thank you, Gayatri.
Yeah, if something they want specifically.
We do have one question. If you would like to come off of mute and ask your question, please. And introduce yourself.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I am a great fan of yours book, and I own that book. And yeah, I have read many English translations, but your English translations seems to be like an Indian version. So I am very much fan of you, ma'am. Ma'am, like you mentioned about Jhulelal and all other sorts of stuff, and Guru Nanak also. So, ma'am, what I have observed that being a third generation Sindhi who have lost all contact with Sindh as a geographic land, we have lost many things, including language, culture. Although I can speak and read Sindhi, but still I feel that the purity of the language has gone that my grandparents used to have. But there are certain things which are still being part of our regular culture, like we reverence Jhulelal and Guru Nanak.
Right.
So, ma'am, closely observed our culture. I have felt that the teachings of Guru Nanak does not get synchronized with the culture like we follow. Like the idolatry culture that we Sindhis, Hindus to be particular, we have, or other cultures or traditions that we follow does not seem synchronized with the thoughts of Guru Nanak. But still Guru Nanak is being reverenced at our homes. And despite of that, contrary to that, Shah Latif, whose poetry is so much like inclusive, where he takes the name of Hinglaj, he reverenced the Jogis, and his name has been lost. Like my grandmother also used to narrate narrate Jedo Tunjo Nao Bajbi Odai Manga while making a Palo prayer. But she was not aware of the name, that who is the writer of that. So how the whose poetry is synchronizing with our very thought and practices, his name got lost from our minds, from our day-to-day conversation. So could you please put a light on this? Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's a very good observation, because I also grew in the, my parents used to follow the Guru Granth Sahib. And I've written plays where I've used that theater. But, I also wasn't sure the place of Sufism in our culture, till I started translating Shah Abdul Latif and reading about all this. Because we were brought up with Jhulelal or with, as you said correctly, the Guru Gobind Singh and all that. And the beauty of Sindh is it's all there. It's all still there. They follow all of them. There are different people who follow that. We don't need, we as Sindhis who are all over the world now, look at this, Spain, here, there. We don't need to narrow down ourselves anymore. We have to show the world that we have to expand, which we have. And I think you youngsters come, I also hope I'm not too old, but we come from a culture that is so wide and so interesting, So I don't think we should say only Jhulelal or only this or only that. It's all there for us. And that's the beauty of a culture. So thank you for your observations. They were very, in fact, accurate.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. If you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We will open it up to Q&A again after this next part.
Yeah. Now, in the next part, see what Shah Latif did. And I'll tell you another story how this happened. Shah Latif, when he was young, he also, like everybody else, fell in love. And his father was a Hakim. So Hakim is like the doctor. So he went to see a young girl who was sick. So Shah Latif was sent instead of his father. And when he saw that girl, he didn't see her. He only saw her little finger because they used to wear burqas and all that. But just seeing the little finger, he fell in love with that girl. And he said, the girl whose finger I have held is going to be for me. But nobody agreed to their marriage, nothing. So he was very heartbroken, frustrated, and he left. And when he left, he went with the yogis to Rajasthan, to Gujarat. And there he came across the folk tales of Sasui Punu. I hope some of you all have heard these folk tales. In Punjab, in Rajasthan, in Sindh, Sasui Punu, Umal Rano. Have you all heard? I don't know. Priya, you know any of them?
I'm not familiar with them, unfortunately.
Yeah, these are folk tales of North India.
Me neither.
And Sindh. Yeah, so they're, Gayatri may know about them. So these folk tales have been there for centuries. So he traveled with the yogis. He went with the yogis all over, being heartbroken. He went around. And of course, he was spiritually inclined. So what he has done beautifully, see, half the book, I'll hold up the book, is folk tales. These folk tales form almost, see the marking, middle of the book. Half the book has folk tales. So what he has done, we don't understand divine love, but we understand human love. I can understand love for my husband, wife, whatever, spouse, partner. But we can't, divine love we find difficult. So he equated divine love with human love to make it easier for us to understand divine love. So he took for example, this chapter is called Sasui Punu. Now he took this story, I'll tell you the story. Sasui Punu, Sasui was a fisherman's daughter, no, Dhobi's daughter, washerman's daughter, and Punu was a prince. So he came to this little village, he fell in love with the poor Sasui. Now, the king and the poverty and the richness, they don't go together. So the two were in love. So Punu decided that he will become a washerman also. But he was a king, he didn't know how to wash. So he tore everybody's clothes. So he took gold coins and put in the pockets of the people. So they wouldn't feel that the clothes were torn. So his father-in-law thought, oh yeah, he's a very good washerman, let's get them married. So he got them married. But unfortunately, they got married, but when the two were sleeping, Punu, the lover, was kidnapped at night and he was taken to his kingdom. And Sasui, poor thing, was sleeping. And when she got up, she found that Punu was gone. The lover was left. So she started following him. So what Shah Latif tells us, to get your lover, to get your beloved, to get God back, to get your God back, you have to really struggle. He won't come to you like this, just by, say, praying or a little bit. You have to really struggle. So he shows us how much poor Sasui struggled to get her Punu back. The same way, we have to, in a way, struggle in our lives to understand God and to get him into our lives. So I'll start with the reading.
Wonderful, thank you.
So Shah Latif says, he tells Sasui, he talks to Sasui here. It's like a dramatic verse in a way. Many voices are taken. Shah Latif says, Lax one, he's calling a bit lazy. Did you not hear the camels grunt? Camels in those days, no Mercedes taking somebody away at night. Did you not hear the camels grunt? How can those who sleep away the hours meet the beloved? Now you all have got up early, but most of us sleep away our hours. So that's one way to meet the beloved, early in the morning. So Sarsi says, she started a journey to look for her lover, which is a beloved Punu. Punu is actually equates to God, but she starts her journey. So we understand that how a seeker looks for the lover, the same way we have to have that same josh and fervor to look for our beloved. So she sees these massive mountains in front of her and says, how the hell will I find my lover? I mean, where is my lover? So she tells the mountain, mountains, you have shared my plight. My lover has taken flight. Weep with me, curse my fate. Mountain, your body heats up. What can you do? Your limbs are of stone, mine of steel. Fate has willed it so. But she still proceeds. And she says, Punu's reflection, a desert cloud, under which I proceed. Punu's reflection, a taste of ecstasy. I accept my turmoil gracefully. I wonder if in today's world, anybody would accept their lovers so easily. We want equal rights and everything. But poor Shah Latif showed us that, women take a lot of pain to go after their lovers. Same pain they should take to go after God, perhaps. So, with this woman's lib and everything, it sounds a bit outdated. But I must be true to Latif, right? That's our goal.
Absolutely.
Because he lived in that century.
Yes, and if you think about it, this was written over 250 years ago, right? So obviously times have changed, but that's what is so great. We have such a rich history and such a rich culture. And thank you to you and Hari Dilgir for translating this into English so that we can continue sharing our culture forward.
I'm also a playwright, so I'm going to be modernizing these things, all these folk tales. In fact, we had started a huge musical about Shah Abdul Latif, which would have folk tales and it would be contemporary, It need not be the way Jesus Christ Superstar was. But unfortunately, it's extremely expensive. So unless I get some director or some rich person wanted to sponsor it, I will not be able to do it. Because being a theatre person, I naturally saw the dramatic elements here. All we had to do is modernize it. That's all, Anyway, I continue with his verse. How can I weep for love? How can I weep for love? I've forgotten how to weep. I can only raise my hands wet with tears and continue my journey. See, the basic emotions are still there with us, right? This basic feeling of this thing.
Absolutely. Even though times may have changed.
The basic emotions there. Yeah. So now, so she continues the journey. And now she starts talking to the sun. Sun, do not set. Sun, do not set till I have seen my Punu. Sun, I cannot die till I have seen his footprints. The sun has set. My kith and kin have left. Mother, I am dying in this darkness. Now we'll make it into some song of another song, soulful song. But that's also, this is also a soulful song. So it says, the earth is scorching, my heart bleeds. Mother, caught in these fires, I burn as I walk on and on. Perspiration dripped. I thought it to be the rain of love. Alas, it turned out merely to be the lava of love. So Latif feels a bit sorry for her. So he does comment here and there. He tells her, and he tells us who are looking for God. Latif says, burn, burn, while there's still life in you. Hot or cold, no time for idling. If darkness overcomes, you lose sight of the footprints. She's following Punu's footprints. Camels, we went on a camel, says Latif. It's quite long actually, so I'll just get to the ending. she's getting closer to meeting him. She goes on a journey and she gets closer to meeting Punu. And the good part of the ending of the story is that the two are united. She and the lover, we and God, maybe if we follow that. She even talks to grief. Now we all feel sad and grief. She says, grief, oh grief, my body quivers like salt dissolving in water. Grief, my companion, stay. Do not go Sajan's way. Grief, I'll never tire of you. Leave me only I have met him. My sorrow never abates, like a water wheel in motion. So she goes on, and I'll come to the part at the end where she does meet. He's devoted 5 chapters to this Sasui Punu story. So those who have the book will see how long it is. And now coming to the end, I will tell you what happens. So she gets closer to Punu, meeting Punu, and it's a long story. How does she meet him? There was a shepherd who tried to like sort of molest and rape her, and suddenly the earth opened and she went into the earth. And then Punu heard that she was coming after him. He went there and he saw her dupatta coming out. And the shepherd had built a flag with dupatta because he realized she was holy. The earth itself protected her by splitting. So Punu saw it and he knew his beloved was inside. So he also went inside and they got united. So that is how they got united. But this is all symbolically, this is all allegory. I'm using some little fancy words if you don't mind. But it shows that if we give ourselves to God so much that one day he will come to us. So it will not be lost in vain. And this is the last verse of Sasui. Diving deep within, I conversed with him. No mountains to cross. No need to reach Punu. I myself was Punu. It's a very big statement. The Sufis say you are God. And they are stoned to death for that often. She says, I myself became Punu. Only as Sasui did I feel grief. Because I was separate. Once I became one with Punu, there was no grief. And the last she said, I lost myself, I found him. I lost myself, I found him. I was Punu. All knowledge is futile. Such delusions one suffers until you meet him. Why search everywhere? Nearer than your breath is he. Just remove the screen between you and him. There's a lot of advice and it's kind of fun to read. It's not a boring one that you usually come across. Well, that's it. Any questions?
Thank you so much for your interpretation. It made it so much easier to understand. We have a question from Bharti, and then we'll get to the chat. Feel free to put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. So Bharti, please go ahead.
Yeah, Anjuji, that was so beautiful. I'm really looking forward to reading your book. We are so blessed and so lucky to have you with us. So thank you so much for sharing your, precious time explaining and reading some of the book, excerpts of the book. I really am looking forward to getting my hands on your book. I will be in Mumbai in December. I'm hoping to meet with you in person. I would really love to. And you had also mentioned there's an Institute of Sindhology. Yeah. I'm bringing my kids with me on this trip, so I would really love for them to see. I'd love if you could just explain a little bit more about that. I really would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you can Google it very easily, but the Institute of Sindhology is in Kutch. Okay, and Kutch is part of Gujarat, right?
Yes.
So you can go there and you can see the library. You can talk to the director. You can hear the cassettes. So they've got a good library, they've got people, they have seminars, workshops. So I wouldn't know their schedule, but if you go into their site, Maybe you can put it up
Okay.
in the box, Priya. Institute of Sindhology, Kutch.
Sure, yes.
So then they just have
Okay.
to Google it and get there. I
Oh,
went
I
there
see.
about
Okay.
5 years ago, and they've also started something called Tif Dham. This is interesting. I should announce it. Like the Punjabis have the Golden Temple.
Right.
These have been given 40 acres of land in Kutch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now, and the biggest builders in Bombay, like Hiranandani and all, have gone there and built artificial lakes and things like that. And they've got something called Tirtha, where they've got Jhulelal statue. They also have a place to stay, I believe, a guest house. I haven't gone, but I'll be going soon. Maybe I'll talk to you all about it when I'm back.
Yeah, we would love to hear about that. That would be
Yeah,
amazing.
and also, I mean, I don't have any pictures to share because such a thing of 40 acres, and I believe it's been designed by a architect from Europe, and it's very beautiful.
I see.
Now, remember, the Sindhis have money now, which they didn't have before. A lot of people do contribute. A lot of
Well,
people do.
we've always been a very hardworking community.
Yeah.
I think we know how to work hard and also play hard. We party hard too. So
Yeah, exactly. We should have to be proud of ourselves. And there's a lot happening here. And I think this institute, I will definitely come and talk to you once. I'm going there around November to this
Okay,
Tirtha. With 40 acres, you can imagine with 4 artificial lakes. Even I'm looking. And if you go to the Institute of Sindhology, you can go to the white sands in Kutch. It is all salt, pans of salt. And moonlight, it becomes all white and beautiful.
wow.
So I think winter would be a good time. I was there in, I think, November.
I
It's a
see.
good place for a holiday to go to Kutch and see the desert and the salt pans.
We would love to have a follow-up session with you after you come back from there, and if you could share
Yes.
the pictures and videos. And I think Kamal Uncle, who's on the call, has also mentioned it as well.
Yes.
I'll ask
Thank you
that
for
lady.
sharing that.
No, in fact, there's a lady who's a director, and she will also, come on the chat maybe with us, so that we will ask her how it was done and how it was formed. Now, they've just built guest houses. So she suggested that we go there in November. So once we get that info, I'll ask her to come also. So she can talk to you directly as well. She was the director of this whole project. It's quite massive. Not a small thing.
Wow.
And I think the way, the way the Punjabis have the Golden Temple, I think this will become a place of, I don't like places of religious worship to say, will be a place at least where the Sindhis feel they can go. And hopefully also, preserve the culture in a way. They have preserved many things. And the other thing that you come to India, there is a partition museum. Have any of you heard about it?
No, could you please speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. They've just opened it last month. And I believe the partition museum is not only about the Sindhis, it's about the whole partition experience. But they've given one room to the Sindhi experience. And they're going to be artifacts from Sindh there. It's a proper museum set up by somebody from the UK. I think Sir Paul or somebody.
Where is it located?
Delhi.
Oh, in
This
Delhi.
is in Delhi. And they've got one room, which there's a person I know from the Sindhi Cultural Foundation. We've taken one room. And again, I'll be going there sometime in winter. So hopefully I'll get pics. Although they say don't take pics, we'll get something. And one whole room is for the Sindhi experience of partition. And we got, sort of artifacts there and all kinds of things. So I'm happy it's being documented as well, So we don't... Huh?
Touching.
Yeah. Anything happened?
No,
Okay.
carry on.
No, that's it. So I'll show you the photos instead of talking about it.
Yes.
And if you come, you can put it in the chat box. It's called the Partition Museum in Delhi.
Yes.
And it's called the Institute of Sindhology. And these are good sources to explain. And there's no need to be any more apologetic about being refugees here or anything. I think we are among whoever is among the top right now. So no need to think of ourselves as refugees at all.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much. Yeah, at Sindhis Unite, we don't focus on who is from this background, who is from that. We just focus on being Sindhi and what unites us. Sorry, someone, can you please put yourself on mute? And we're going to go to the next question.
You can turn them on mute if you like. Ria, you can put it on mute.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Bhagwan, would you like to ask your question? Bhagwan Marjani?
Yes, thank you so much. Very enlightening. Coincidentally, I was just reading a bit about Shah Latif this morning. I was just reading a book that I'd picked up in SOAS Library in London. And I was fascinated by, what his life and what he had done. And I believe most of the poetry, according to the book, is actually in a song form. Is that true?
Yeah, of course, it's sung. It's an oral tradition. No?
Yeah. So where obviously there must be examples of this online and listen in the original Sindhi language.
Yes, there is lots of it. Abida Parveen herself, who's so famous in Pakistan, has sung a poetry. And then there are so many folk singers who have sung it in Kutch. If you all go to Kutch for that, to see the white sands and the Institute of Sindhology, I mean, you might hear it on the way. It's sung in the villages. It's sung in Pakistan all over, I'm told. I've not been to Pakistan. Unfortunately, in places like Bombay, we don't hear much at all. But if you go that side, you'll hear more from Kutch.
We do have some friends in the session today from Pakistan, and if you join our clubhouse sessions, there is someone, his name is Tipu, and he sings Sindhi songs, and a few others come on and sing as well.
Yeah, get him to sing. Ask him to sing now one song before we end.
Unfortunately,
that'll be one.
He wasn't able to join today. Go ahead, Bhagwan.
I said that'll be wonderful if you could listen to him.
Yeah.
Yes. Feel free to message us on Sindhis Unite on Instagram. And what we will do is we will send you the link to Clubhouse so you can join and attend our sessions.
And just to add on the project that you were talking about, I think there are quite a few Sindhis in Bombay, and I knew someone, well, actually a distant relative, Pushpa Advani. Unfortunately, she passed away. She was a big organizer of this. So I think we should really, maybe abroad is not even, maybe even in India is not that well advertised and shown what we are trying to achieve. So perhaps your organization, Sindhis Unite, can maybe give us some more information or get some more information about it.
Yes, definitely. Feel free to message us on Sindhis Unite and we can look into that for you.
Yes,
and
I'll see what I can find and I'll send you some information, and then
wonderful. Thank you.
can spread the message.
Absolutely. The more we share, the more we learn. So thank you for sharing that. And
how many members do you have? I have a question. How many members do you have here?
On Instagram, we have about almost 500, and on Clubhouse, I believe we has over 1,000, and it's from all over the world.
I don't think it's known in India, I think, but perhaps it will be good.
Yeah, we can definitely share. Thank you, Bhagwan, for your question. I
Thank
just want
you.
to quickly get to Manik Advani.
Yes, hi. Good morning, good evening. Thank you so much. We loved it, just loved it immensely. You know, we are actually Sufis, and we have been following Shah Latif, Sachal Sarmas, also Nimano Sai. I don't know if you have heard of Nimano Sai. She was a follower of Sachal Sarmas. And we have actually a big temple in Baroda. It's called Nimano Sangam. And so I'm just very, very impressed by this. And I wanted to request you if you can have another session with Sachal Sarmas sometime. I know that you are researching Sachal Sarmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I have started, but you'll have to give me some time.
Yes, we would love to hear your session on that.
Yes.
And I wanted to actually also introduce my wife, Sufi, who would like to sing one verse of Shah Latif.
Oh.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Wonderful.
Please.
Thank you so much, Anju. This has been wonderful. I'm
Welcome.
touched. And just
Welcome,
really-
welcome.
Yeah. And it's one of my favorite songs, actually.
Okay.
Tere pavandi san, chavandi san, o pere pavandi san, chavandi san. Rahivan rat bambur mela, Rahivan rat bambur. Pere pavandi san, chavandi san, o pere pavandi san, chavandi san. Rahivan rat bambur mela, Rahivan rat bambur. Charit chabal chotate ala. Charit chabal chotate, chabal chotate, chabal chotate, chabal chotate, chabal chotate. O sadara kandi san, chavandi san. O sadara kandi san, chavandi san. Rahivan rat bambu meala, Rahivan rat bambu. Tere pavandi san, chavandi san.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thank
Nice
you.
that you're singing.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that lovely song. You have such a beautiful voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining. And Munir wanted to say something, and then we have one more person with their hand raised that we'll get to.
Can you
Munir?
guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry about earlier. By mistake, I unmuted myself. I was talking to someone else and I just unmuted myself. I don't know what you guys heard.
That's
But
okay.
if you guys understood Sindhi, then maybe you understood what I was talking about. If you didn't, then it's okay.
Please go ahead
Okay.
with your question.
I just wanted to say I was been listening here, and you guys, as you guys know, I'm from Sindh, and I do speak fluent Sindhi. And it is amazing when I was listening to Anju ji, and the way she was talking about Shah Sai and the way she was explaining things. It was amazing because Gayatri told me a couple of days back about Anju ji, and she did share some things with me as well. So it was quite amazing. Anju ji, I would love to know if you can speak in Sindhi or not. Are you fluent in Sindhi? Do you understand Sindhi or not, if you don't mind?
No, of course I don't mind. And we have to be honest because I don't think it's by choice that we are separated from our culture. We were all forced into it. I can't ask Priya the same question. And
Exactly.
first I used to be embarrassed when I was her age. But now my parents came to Bombay and they were trying to settle down and whatnot. And they didn't really speak Sindhi at home. So they spoke very minimal. So I can understand fully. I can speak, but not very well. It's broken. But obviously,
So
with
can
time,
I say,
can
can I just explain whatever you said through Shah Sai and whatever? I would like to say something in Hindi because I think then only it'll make sense. Because
It'll be a
जेकी
pleasure.
ॿोली थींदी आहे पंहिंजी, जेकी मिठी ॿोली थींदी आहे, उन माण्हू पंहिंजे पाण खे वधीक सुठी तरह सम्झाए वेंदो आहे. I'm sorry if सिंधी ॻाल्हाईंदे वक़्तु मुंहिंजे वात में को उर्दू लफ़्ज़ अची वञे. Usually Gayatri always corrects me whenever आउं सिंधी ॻाल्हाईंदो आहे, चवंदी आहे that is not Sindhi, that is basically Urdu. So of course that happens after partition. या शइ थी आहे असां सां तमामु घणी त असां वटि you'll be surprised to know जेके वेठा आहियो हुते तव्हां मूंखे ॿुधायां त असां वटि सिंधी जेकी ॿोली आहे सिंध में इवन दो जेकी पॉलिसी रही आहे असां वटि सिंधी ॿोली जे नाते सां सिंध में और ॾाढी अजीब रही आहे सिंध जे अंदरि बिकॉज़ जेको असांजो सिस्टम आहे हिते so called Pakistan जे अंदरि that is quite I don't want to say this term, but that is very anti-Sindhi language. So, उन्हें शुरू खां ही यो रहियो आहे त असां वटि ॿोली ख़तम थिए, असां वटि जेको लोकल स्क्रिप्ट आहे ख़तम थिए, या उन मंदर असांखे ज़ोरी है असांजी ॿोली जे अंदरि ॿियूं जेके ॿोलियूं या भाषाऊं उन जा वर्ड्स विधा वञनि. But then also we are surviving. Sindhi is the only language here in Pakistan jeki it is in written form after Urdu. And people will be surprised to know that the books translate थियनि था हिते पाकिस्तान जे अंदरि वध मां वधि books translate थियनि था कंहिं ॿी ॿोलीअ मां उहो उर्दू खां वधीक सिंधीअ में थियनि था. So that is something very amazing. ॿोली हले पई. One thing which I've been telling people, even though माण्हू हिते जा एग्री कोन कंदा आहिनि, I think as we have been divided because of the border, आउं सम्झां थो जेकी स्क्रिप्ट असां वटि आहे सिंध में जंहिंखे शाहमुखी स्क्रिप्ट चइजे या मुगल मुखी चइजे ऐं ॿी जेकी देवनागरी स्क्रिप्ट आहे हिंदुस्तान जे अंदरि उहा हुजे. आउं पर्सनली सम्झंदो आहियां जेकी स्क्रिप्ट हूंदी आहे या लिखणी जेकी हूंदी आहे ॿोली उन ते डिपेंडेंट न आहे. अगरि स्क्रिप्ट चेंज बि थी वञे because long back we had a different script in the time of Mohenjo-daro असां वटि ॿी स्क्रिप्ट हुई. उन खां पोइ असां वटि अरबी स्क्रिप्ट अची वई या फौदाबादी स्क्रिप्ट अची वई. I am a big supporter त हाणे टाइम अची वियो आहे त असां वटि जेकी रोमन सिंधी स्क्रिप्ट आहे उनखे कॉमन कयो वञे. Then तमामु easy थी वेंदो for someone living in India, someone living in Sindh, someone living in America to read and communicate with each other. I'm a big supporter of that. That is all gonna say. But हिकिड़ो शाह साईं जो बैत आउं ॿुधाईंदुसि उहो as it was about Shah Sain. The Shah Sain says के सूफ़ीअ साफ़ कयो धोई वर्क वजूद जो. जेको सूफ़ी हूंदो आहे त सूफ़ी जेको हूंदो आहे ही washes up his existence. सूफ़ीअ साफ़ कयो धोई वर्क वजूद जो खां पोइ थियो जीअरे पसण पिरीअ जो. After that, once he vanishes his existence, उन खां पोइ he starts living his life. That's all I want to say. Thank you, GSN.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was so coming from there. It was really something. And what you say is, I just want to add what you have made some very good points. I want to add one point only and think every language evolves. Any language in the world is always evolving. And I don't think why we should be always afraid that we will lose our original. It may alter, it may evolve, and the scholars may preserve the original. But we as perhaps ordinary people that are living in this world, if we can still preserve it in some way, and even if it evolves, I don't see anything wrong with that fully. I mean, it's good to have the original, but if we cannot, at least we have something. I mean, if you study the Black movement, how much evolution was there? How much change was there? So I think, you know, when people say they're afraid that Sindhi will be lost, no, I think it's evolving. And even if it changes a little, so what? So let us be positive on that note. I mean, this is our reality now. Why should we apologize whether we don't speak perfectly? And whether we are doing it in Devanagari or we are doing it any other thing in country, we are preserving it in some form.
Yes.
And it's worth preserving. It's 5,000 years old.
Absolutely. And on that note, I mentioned a few of us in the session today are taking Sindhi classes. Kamal Uncle, Kamal Mirchandani is doing it on Zoom. And they have a YouTube if anybody would like to learn all the sessions we've done. They upload it to YouTube. It's called Sindhi Academy USA. We'll put the link in the chat. And Kamal Uncle, I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but if you wouldn't mind, would you just care to share a little of what you've done with the Sindhi class and, you know, what you're teaching along with speaking? He's also teaching us how to read and write in Romanized Sindhi.
Priya, Anju, and Munir, तव्हांजा घणा घणा शुक्राना. अंजू तव्हां जेको असांखे असांजे शाह लतीफ़ साईं जी जेका लिटरेचर उन जे बारे में तमामु सुठी जानकारी ॾिनी आहे. ऐं मुनीर तव्हांजा शुक्राना जो तव्हांखे असांखे सिंधी ॿोली जी जेका हींअर सिचुएशन उन जे बारे में तव्हां असांखे वाक़ुफ़ु कयो आहे. माणिक ऐं सूफ़ी तव्हांजा बि शुक्राना जो तव्हां शाह लतीफ़ सचल सरमस्त ऐं निमाणे साईं जे बारे में ॿुधायो आहे. मूंखे ख़ुशी थी थिए तव्हांखे इहो ॿुधाईंदे त मां इन्हनि सभिनी हंधनि सां थी आयो आहियां। मां शाह लतीफ़ जे भिट शाह थी आयो आहियां, सचल सरमस्त जी दरगाह उतां थी आयो आहियां, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सिंधोलॉजी उतां थी आयो आहियां, ऐं सिंधी ॿोलीअ जे प्रमोशन ऐं प्रिजर्वेशन जे लाइ जेका ॻाल्हि मुनीर चई आहे उन ते असीं केतिरे वक़्त खां कमु करे रहिया आहियूं। ऐं अॼु मूंखे 12 साल थिया आहिनि सिंधी इन रोमनाइज स्क्रिप्ट उन खे असीं कीअं पंहिंजे ग्लोबल कम्युनिटी खे सिंधी ॿोली सां जोड़े रखूं उन ते कमु कयो आहे। ऐं मूंखे ख़ुशी थी जो लास्ट इंटरनेशनल सिंधी सम्मेलन थियो हो पुणे में नवंबर 2022 में, उते मूं ही किताब जेको आहे सो रिलीज़ कयो हो, रोमनाइज सिंधी अ ग्लोबल सॉल्यूशन, लर्न सिंधी 3, अरबी, देवनागरी and Roman Sindhi. This book has been accepted in a grammar and सॼो details आहिनि रोमनाइज्ड स्क्रिप्ट में सिंधी कीअं सिखिजे। ऐं मूंखे ख़ुशी थींदी हो तव्हांखे ॿुधाईंदे त हैदराबाद सिंध नेशनल कॉलेजिएट बोर्ड जेका यूनिवर्सिटी आहे हाणे बॉम्बे में, उन इहो किताब एक्सेप्ट कयो आहे ऐं हाणे सिंधी ॿोलीअ खे रोमनाइज स्क्रिप्ट में ऑन एजुकेशनल लेवल इन जा क्रेडिट कोर्सिस शुरू करण जो हिन सेमेस्टर खां वठी प्रोग्राम हली रहियो आहे। ऐं सिंधी ॿोली हाणे इन 3rd स्क्रिप्ट में बि सभिनी खे मिली सघंदी। मुनीर तव्हां जेका ॻाल्हि कई न त सिंध में बि सिंधी ॿोलीअ जा केतिरा स्कूल ऐं कॉलेज बंदि पिया थियनि ऐं उते उर्दू ते वधीक ज़ोर पियो अचे। त असीं सिंधी पाण में कीअं कनेक्टेड रहूं? सिंधी त ग्लोबल कम्युनिटी आहियूं। अंजू जी तव्हां ॿुधायो तव्हीं अंग्रेज़ी में ॻाल्हायो था पर तव्हांखे सिंधीअ सां लाॻापो आहे, पर सिंधी ॿोली उहा असीं कीअं पढ़ूं ऐं कीअं उनखे क़ाइमु रखूं? ही शाह साईं जो रसालो आहे मूं वटि अरबी सिंधीअ में लिखियल, प्रोफेसर कल्याण आडवाणी।
That's what we used.
1958 में ही लिखी ज़ाहिर कयो हो ऐं उनखे प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया जो गोल्ड मेडल ऐं कुझु इनाम बि मिलो वियो हो। ऐं मूंखे हिननि सां डायरेक्ट कॉन्टेक्ट रहियो आहे कल्याण आडवाणी सां। त मां ही रसालो पढ़ंदो आहियां, मूंखे हिन मां तमामु चङी तरह केतिरा कलाम जेके शाह साईं जा आहिनि। ऐं असां पाण हिते लीला चनेसर जेको शाह साईं जी हिकिड़ी वन ऑफ द फोकलोर्स आहे, उन ते असां हिते इंटरनेशनल सिंधी सम्मेलन में हिकिड़ो ड्रामो पेश कयो हो कलाक जो। त शाह अब्दुल लतीफ़ जे जेका फोकलोर ऐं तंहिंमें जेको तव्हां ॿुधायो त दुनियावी प्यार आहे, पर सचो बचो जेको इशारो अथनि उहो स्पिरिचुअल लव आहे। It has been very well depicted with all that information behind जेका मूं तव्हां सां हींअर तव्हां सां शेयर कई आहे। पर ultimately I would like to say one thing, the script is changing with time. हीअ जेका स्क्रिप्ट हुई असांखे जंहिंखे असीं सिंधी अरबी चऊं था, परसो अरेबिक, इहा अंग्रेज़नि इंस्टीट्यूट कई हुई 1853 में। उन खां अॻु में शाह साईं जे वक़्त में ऐं सचल सरमस्त जे वक़्त में मां सम्झां थो त सिंधी लिखी वेंदी हुई पर्शियन या अरेबिक ऐं ख़ुदाबादी देवनागरी उन में लिखी वेंदी हुई। त उहे किताब कंहिं वटि हुजनि त आई वुड लाइक टू नो दैट prior to Britishers bringing the Perso-Arabic script as our standard Sindhi script. उन खां अॻु में जेका स्क्रिप्ट हुई अंजू जे तव्हां वटि या मुनीर तव्हां वटि सिंध में, उहे ओरिजिनल किताब हुजन त सिंधी कहिड़ी स्क्रिप्ट में लिखी हुई हूंदी, तो that will be like a history from there to Perso-Arabic, then to Devanagari, and now we are shifting over to Romanized Hindi script. And we have to keep this going. Anju तव्हांजी घणी महिरबानी जो तव्हां अंग्रेजीअ में बि इन खे तमामु चङी तरह सां एक्सप्लेन करे ऐं सम्झाए रखियो आहे त जीअं इहा नॉलेज will be carried over from generation to generation. असीं जीअं अॻियां ग्लोबल कम्युनिटी आहियूं, असांखे त हींअर पंहिंजो प्रॉमिस कोन्हे. Sindhis are in more than 100 countries all over the world. तव्हांखे त जीअं ख़बर हूंदी, Sindhis are spread all over. त असांखे सिंधियत क़ाइमु करण जे लाइ स्क्रिप्ट जेका आहे असां सोचणी पवंदी कहिड़ी थींदी. ऐं मुनीर तव्हांजो घणो शुक्राना जो तव्हां रोमनाइज़ सिंधी खे सिंध में बि एक्नॉलेज कयो आहे. ऐं हाणे बॉम्बे यूनिवर्सिटी मां असांजे इहा शुरू थी वेंदी. कोर्सेस विल बी स्टार्टेड वेरी सून एंड होपफुली सभिनी खे इन जी एडवांटेज मिली सघंदी. ऐं वंस अगेन प्रिया तव्हांजा घणा घणा शुक्राना जो तव्हां ही जेको प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट कयो आहे to bring us all together from all parts of the world for the betterment and knowledge and propagation of our Sindhi culture and Sindhiyat Boli and Sindhiyat. Very once again, tanja ghana shukrana. Mehrbani.
Thank you so much, Kamal Uncle. Before we switch it to someone else, could you just share the website that you refer to in class a lot so that people can learn about it as well?
रोमनाइज़ सिंधी जी वेबसाइट जेका 2011 में अहमदाबाद में जेको इंटरनेशनल सिंधी सम्मेलन थियो हो उन में लॉन्च कई वई हुई. उन जी वेबसाइट है www.romanizedSindhi.org. उन में रोमनाइज़ सिंधी तव्हांखे बेसिक लेसन्स उन में मिलंदा along with audio lessons. तंहिंखे असां वधीक डेवलप करे पोइ ग्रामर विझी करे ऐं ऑन अ हायर लेवल ते जेको क्रिएट कयो आहे इन दिस बुक सिंधु एकेडमी यूएसए जे थ्रू. त दिस बुक विल बी नाउ रिलीज्ड बाय हैदराबाद सिंध नेशनल कॉलेजिएट बोर्ड जेको यूनिवर्सिटी बॉम्बे में आहे. दे विल प्रिंट इट एंड दे विल डिस्ट्रीब्यूट देमसेल्व्स. ऐं हाणे उन्हनि जे वेबसाइट ते थ्रू देम दिस विल बी taught as a Romanized Sindhi.
I had a quick question to Mr. Kamal Mirchandani. Is there any way that we can buy it otherwise, if not from the NCPSL? The book, the Romanized Sindhi book.
की जेको किताब है लिमिटेड कॉपीज असां छपायूं फॉर इंटरनेशनल सिंधी सम्मेलन. मूं वटि कुछ कॉपीज आहिनि असां डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कयूं. हाणे जॾहिं हैदराबाद सिंध कॉलेजिएट बोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी बॉम्बे में हिन खे पंहिंजे कोर्स जे लाइ प्रिंट करे ऐं डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कंदी, इट विल बी अवेलेबल ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड. बट देयर आर लिमिटेड कॉपीज अवेलेबल विथ मी. आई कैन शेयर विथ यू if you are interested, and I'm going to visit Bombay again in December. December, January, sure. I'll be there. I'll bring some copies with me and I'll be making available to you all who are interested.
Thanks so much. I'll get your details from Priya.
Please do. And once again, thank you again, all of you. I love it so much. Sindhi Boli je la jo ko tein kuch kare raha ho, ye mujhe dil wata hai. Anju, I would like to come and meet with you in Bombay when I am there.
Welcome. Welcome. No, but this copy will be, as you said, it will be part of the Sindh Collegiate Board. So it will be very easily available.
They will be printing and issuing.
Very easily. You can go to KC College or any of these colleges and ask for it. They all have Sindhi departments, by the way. All of these colleges, Jain, they have Sindhi departments. In fact, we are just negotiating with the Sindhi department and producer here to produce a Shah Latif play again. It keeps on coming up. Somebody or the other is interested. So that will be sort of stay sometime at Jain College. And I'll keep Gayatri informed so that she can come and tell others. And
yeah, sure. I was in Jain, so I'll also try to get in touch with them about this.
This book that, Kamalji is saying is it will be very easily available because they have all departments. All these colleges have Sindhi departments.
I have already, Anju, this book, multiple copies I have already given to all those colleges.
Yeah.
If you
And
go to their library, you will find this
Yeah,
book
yeah.
there. In
Very
KC
easily.
College, HR College, Jahan
Yeah.
College,
Yeah.
all of them have got these copies.
Yeah, they're
And
spending a lot of money on this now. I think any of you all want, just go into the colleges, you'll get a lot of help. Lots of help now.
Jahan,
There's a whole revival now, so everybody's putting in something. So don't
at
worry
Jahan
about
College, Kajal
Kajal
Ramchandani,
is it.
she has got multiple copies of this book with her.
Yeah.
She is supporter of Romanized Sindhi.
Yeah.
We had
I'll talk
together
to her.
made presentations.
Yeah. We'll go and definitely meet her.
There are
Very
just
good.
two more things I
Sure.
wanted to mention in the chat, then we'll turn it over to Munir and then back to Anju. Thank you, Kamal Uncle, for joining. So we have a couple questions. Maya Shahani says she is a trustee of the Hyderabad Sindh National Collegiate Board, and she can help out with getting the books if anybody needs help. Maya, if you could just message us on Sindhis Unite with your contact info in case anybody reaches out to us. Thank you. And they want to know, when is the book, Kamal Uncle, that you mentioned being published? Oh, you're on mute, Kamal Uncle. Tamashad mute pay.
Yeah, I have sent them my soft copy so that they can start working on it. And they wanted a special page from me from author's desk, which also I have issued to them. So it's a matter of time. They are working on it. It should be produced. As this goes into their curriculum now to be taught as a Romanized Sindhi script, they will also simultaneously publish this book.
Yes.
Okay, great. And Bhagwan Morjani says he teaches at the University of London and would like to get involved. So Bhagwan, if you could message us on Sindhis Unite and we will connect you. We will connect you with everybody. Thank you. Really quickly, I know Munir, you wanted to say something, and then we'll go to Anju to wrap up.
I just have a question. I don't want to interrupt, but just
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Kamal sir. Dada, asi Rajasthan में रहूं था तो राजस्थान में जिलाए तो राजस्थान वारन जिलाए मुमकिन काने तो हु मुंबई में वनी करे कॉलेज में वनी करे किताब वठी सकन तो असांजे लाए को तवां उपाय बुधायो जैसा असी भी किताब वठी सकूं ऐं हिते वंड करे सकूं किताबन जी. And apart from that, I have also question with Anju ma'am. So, ma'am, you translated and you told about your story that like you used to share postcards with Hari Dilgir sir. You used to translate these verses. So, ma'am, like you know that Christopher Shekel and even there are many other translations of Shah Latif in English which have already been done. Were you refer to those translations? या वो translations में भी आपकी translations में मदद की? And second question is, ma'am, like in the poster which we received that you are working on Sachal's poetry also. So will that book will be available to us soon on Amazon so that we could buy that book? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll use this opportunity to also to sum up a bit. It's really nice to see so many people doing so much. And I can almost, even though we are online, I can almost feel the emotion. And I think when people do it so much of, excuse me, so much of feeling and heart, it's really something. And to feel it online in such a cold medium, it's very heartening. So thank you, all of you, for being there. And of course, for the young girls for inviting me. And then, of course, for your comments. And it strikes me that in a strange way, although we are different, we still seem to have something in common. I've not been able to place it, but there is something there. Like I feel at home with all of you. I feel as if we are part of some family. I don't feel different from any of you. Maybe it is Shah Latif's blessing here, but I feel that oneness. So thank you for that also. And to answer her question now, lastly, Yes, of course, I refer to a lot of books of Shah Abdul Latif. And I hope some of you all will get the copy of the Seeking the Beloved, because the introduction is also by Dr. Jotwani, who I'm sure Kamalji knows. He was also a Padma Shri or a Padma Bhushan. And I met him almost in his last years in Delhi at his house. And he said, I'm not sure I can write an introduction. I don't have that much of strength. So I said, don't worry, you tell me. And trust me, as Dilgir has. Hari Dilgir was 80 and a big scholar. Kamalji will tell you about Hari Dilgir. What a big scholar he was. I said, you'll have to just trust me. That I was like you all younger, that I will write it correctly. And they both did. And so I sat with even Jotwani. The introduction is his name, but he almost dictated it to me. I had to write it down, edit it. And Hari Dilgir also was such a scholar that age didn't matter. So what was beautiful about this whole thing and continues to be is that their introductions are there. And to answer your question, in that introduction, the whole background is there. Did we refer to other books? Yes, we did. Yes, there was a book by a German scholar called Anna Maria. You all know about Anna Maria Schnell. She did extensive research about Shah Latif, both karata. And she traveled all through. She wrote many books. I read all of that. I read by Sawley. I read books from Pakistan. Again, problem was the language was very flowery. They were trying to rhyme words and make it like poetic. I don't think you need to do that. I think, I have taken it in free verse because I didn't want to be restricted by that, to make it flowery, to make it sound artificially beautiful. So I think all these people came together, whether it was Hari Dilgir, the spirit of Shah Latif, the Sawley's research, the Dr. Anna Mani Skell's research, Jotwani's research, everything came together. I mean, it's a collective, I would say. So I don't know who to thank except perhaps.
Thank
Who
you.
else?
I just want to quickly get to Munir, and then we also had Tipu join. If any, I know we're way over time, but if anybody would like to stay on, Tipu often sings songs for us on Clubhouse, and I would like him to share. He writes his own, but I'm going to ask if he could share a traditional song too, and then we'll go back to Anju, and then we'll wrap it up. Sorry, everyone, for running over, but there's so many great things. Please follow us on Instagram at Sindhis Unite. Message us for a link on Clubhouse. We will do more Zoom sessions in the future, a follow-up with Anju Auntie, a follow-up with Kamal Uncle, and many others. So, Munir, go ahead.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and
Okay.
Munir has
Before
is
I
a
just
top.
wanted to add something. Let me show you something. So this is coming. I got a gift from someone. This is Bible in Sindhi. This is something, a Bible in.
I think Munir's connection is a little unstable. We lost him for a minute, but what he was sharing was he had a Bible written in Sindhi, which is pretty amazing. I didn't even know that was possible. So thank you for sharing that, Munir. And while we're waiting, oh, okay, you're back,
Okay.
Munir. We lost you for a
Sorry
second.
about that.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to add something, but before that, I want to show Kamal Sai this thing. I have Bible in Sindhi. Can you imagine? And this is one of the oldest copies someone gave me. And basically, it's the Old Testament in Sindhi. In Sindhi, it says Puranu Ahdnamu. And it says, somebody gave me a gift. So it's basically my grandfather's friend gave me a gift. So the only thing which I wanted to add here is because Kamal said, and he asked about the script and the works which have been done in Sindh. The thing is, you have to understand one thing, the place where we are, the place where Sindh is right now, the things over here are very different. The way the history is being changed here, I won't say they have successfully tried to change it, but so far, whatever they have tried here, Jedi Koshish Sindh ji, history मटाइण जी या सिंध जो हिकिड़ो background मटाइण जी उन में इलाही जाइन they have not been successful, but the idiotic kind of things which they have done here, for example, I'll tell you the place known as Mohenjo-daro. हाणे जेको Mohenjo-daro आहे उहो आहे Mohenjo-daro. It is Mohenjo-daro. Mohan also means beautiful, and Mohan can also be a name. Sindhi Sanskriti ऐं Sindhi तहज़ीब जे अंदरि इहो हूंदो आहे जेके कोठनि जा ऐं शहरनि जा नाला हूंदा आहिनि उहे या कम्युनिटी नाले सां हूंदा आहिनि या माण्हुनि जे नाले सां हूंदा आहिनि. So just imagine they changed the name from Mohenjo-daro to Mohenjo-daro. Now there's a big difference. If you change the term from Mohan to Mohan, Mohan means dead. So what they're trying to say that a city is named in the mound of dead. That is actually stupid. The अहिड़े क़िस्म जी शयूं थियनि थियूं like या स्क्रिप्ट थिए थी असां वटि जेकी हीअ शाहमुखी या मुगल मुखी whatever script it is, इहा स्क्रिप्ट हुई जेकी साईं कमल ॻाल्हि ॿुधाई अथई अंग्रेज़नि हिते कई हुई. But one thing I'll tell you something amazing, which was that within अंग्रेज़नि हीअ स्क्रिप्ट हिते introduce कराई सिंध में. That time they made it compulsory for every English officer to learn it. So Sir Alfred जो हॉल में आहे
Looks like
Lost him
we
again.
lost his connection again, but while we're waiting for him to come back, I want to quickly just ask Gayatri, would you like to share anything more about your involvement in this session or any questions for Anju?
Thanks so much. I was waiting to vent it out. First of all, I want to thank Anju. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. Like when you were discussing those poetries, I was so overwhelmed. I can't tell you, like, you know, I always believe that, you know, the translation loses the essence. But when you were reading them out, I could feel them. And it was, you know, I've come and met you, you know, what's my knowledge with anything Sindhi and what is it. So, you know, being someone so new with everything, it was so emotional, it was so overwhelming. Thanks so much to, in fact, everyone who came up and joined in this session. And please feel free to let us know on the Sindhis Unite IG or on the Clubhouse if you're there. Let us know. We would really, really appreciate your feedback. And how was the session? And there are many more, sir. There are many more books that Anju has worked upon. So, and you know, we would always love to get Anju back for many more things if she's comfortable and the timings and everything else matches. And she, right now, as like many are already curious and they're already starting to message that when will she be working on her Sachal book and like when will it be out? And so, you know, even I am very much more excited now looking at the audience and even like after like listening about this book from herself. So I'm actually running out of words beyond the adjectives. So please just try to understand my emotions without being said much. But very, very, very like big thanks to everyone who has come in and joined in. It was a very united effort of me, Priya, Bharti, Anju, everyone. And like, thanks so much to everyone who is here. Like really from my heart, thanks so much to everyone who was here.
Thank you, Gayatri. It's really thanks to Gayatri that all of us have come together today and had this session. She had the idea, and she not only had the idea, she made it happen. She reached out to Anju and we got everybody involved. So thank you for, you know, joining. And also we had a couple more questions. Anju, would it be possible to share your email? Can we, if people message us, we can share your contact info?
Gayatri has it too, right?
Okay, you'll put it in the chat.
I'll give it to Gayatri.
Okay, wonderful. And then message us.
Yeah, it's there with me. I'll share it with whoever is interested to get the book.
Yes, sure.
Yes, so if you you know, message us again on Instagram on Sindhis Unite, we will get that information to you. And Abdul said that they have an annual literature festival and would be pleased to invite all of you to come once it starts. Abdul, where is the festival located? We'll just wait for his answer. So Tipu needs a little more time. So the festival is in Sindh in Pakistan. So if anybody happens to be in the area, definitely check it out. And Tipu needs a little more time in order to sing, so I think we'll have him on next time. But on behalf of Sindhis Unite, we just wanted to say thank you, Gayatri, for getting this together. Thank you, Kamal Uncle, for coming on and sharing about the great initiatives you're working on. Munir and a few other friends we have on today are huge, huge, huge contributors on our Clubhouse platform. They tell us what it's like in Sindh. They share so much with us. My knowledge has increased immensely, and I know a lot of others have. And last but not least, Anju, thank you so much for speaking with us today to just share about Shah Abdul Latif and explain and how we can make it relatable to today. Something that was written 250 years ago. Times have changed, but we are all human and certain things remain the same no matter what the circumstances. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody again. We will, oh, I'm sorry. I think, yes, Tipu said he cannot sing today, but definitely next time. He has a wonderful voice. Add us on Instagram at Sindhis Unite. Follow us on YouTube. This will be uploaded there if you want to share it with anybody. And get involved. We'll send you a link to Clubhouse. And we look forward to seeing you at the next session. Thank you for joining, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Okay, goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye.